Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Blitz Racing Network. It is going to be a fun one here tonight. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Mike Goodman. And in the production chair, it's Matt Dyer. But a new season here, Mike. It's going to be an interesting one here tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be a very exciting season here for the OSCA Truck Series Season 2 on the line. Can a guy like Blake Barney, last season's champion, can he defend his title? We got guys in the field, some big heavy hitters. Vincent Isabella, he was runner-up in this series last year as well, and a bunch of new names that we'll see and go through as the night goes along. I'm excited to get this season started.
It certainly is a fun one here tonight. It's going to be two, heats of drivers running for 30 laps in the Truck Series, and each race very important. There are lots of points to be grabbed here tonight, as we're going to say Heat 1 and Heat 2, but really it's Race 1 and Race 2 of the night.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing that we do here in the OSCA Truck Series, having kind of two heats or halves or whatever you want to how you want to describe these sections of the races, and it's kind of good if you have bad luck in race number 1 or half number 1, you can rebound in half number 2, and of course between half 1 and 2, the top 8 will be inverted, and always kind of interesting to see what some people's strategies might be if they're around that maybe 7th, 8th position, if they want to kind of stay put instead of climbing their way up to the field so they can get that front starting position in heat number 2. But like we just mentioned, with the points being awarded in both halves, you got to kind of get what you can when you can get it.
Absolutely. As on my end, I accidentally joined the wrong session. That's why we started out a little bit late here today. There was a session swap up where some inputs were misput in, so I'll get in the right session. But Mike, this is season number 2. Season 1 came to a spectacular end at Kentucky, but from season 1 to season 2, who are some of those faces that did so well last season, and who are some new faces that you're excited to see?
Actually seeing up right there up on the qualifying board there is David Westergreen. He's had some strong runs last season. He made it into the chase. He's had some bad luck throughout the season as well, but I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do. He started his own team here this season. That's going to be fun to see. Of course, we got a lot of the ID racing guys. If you've been following the OSCA Truck Series last season, they pretty much dominated a lot of the season with guys like Blake Barney, Austin Beers, Vincent Isabella, and some of those guys on that team. And newcomers, you got like Tyler Dixon. Kind of interesting to see. Seen him in Elite Racing League, and actually a teammate of mine as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he does. There's a bunch of new names I think I'm seeing in here. Chad Lancaster, kind of a new one. Kind of fun to see some of these new names out here, and some of the guys that ran very well. Chris Jordan, he's a guy who's had some bad luck as well, but we've seen him fast week in and week out. Can he get it done this season? I'm thinking this might be a season for a turnaround for that number 4 truck.
Yeah, and then for me, I got to say the 52 of Edwards has to be also on my radar of some of those drivers to watch out for, as he was looking pretty quick for a lot of these guys, but for the series, there was now the implementation of the ARCA series for development for these drivers. It happened actually earlier before practice got started for these drivers, and it's been a fun way for the drivers to really evolve and get better and get a little bit more race time and track time here at Auto Club. Driver that succeeded the most, Kevin White, came out winning heat number 1 and then actually won the featured race. Another driver to watch out for was that of Robert Hill, who did a great job for himself. And it's exciting that, they have the ARCA series to help those drivers develop, as you're starting to see here, the starting grid.
Yeah, as we go through the grid, I think Kevin White was trying to call it that he was going to pull a sweep here tonight, and we'll see if he can get it done. And as we're excited going through the lineup, we even got dogs in the background. They're getting excited for the race here as well. It should be a good one as we kind of go through the rest of the lineup. Kind of note Vic Bloom, owner of the league, deciding to race this year. Him and Dallas Myhan. Kind of interesting to see how they can mix it up with some of these boys that have been racing last season.
Yeah, I think for Dallas, I mean, I've been watching him through the Elite Racing League, and I've also watched him in a couple of other series where, Dallas is one of those drivers that can be very patient at times, and others knows how to be aggressive. Vic, on the other hand, I think he only knows go and move forward and be aggressive at all times. I don't think I've ever seen Vic really be poised to try to save his tires. It's always how to get up front to try to dominate.
Yeah, is one of those guys. He knows that he's that kind of guy that he's aggressive at all times. He knows he probably has to work on saving those tires. But he has the benefit of the two halves here as well that might play into his wheelhouse. But kind of interesting to see those guys, Blake Barney and Vincent Isabella, with ID racing trucks starting way back in the field. Glenn Bundren as well, who's shown some speed in this OSCA Truck Series in Season 1. Going to be interesting to see some of these guys in the back of the pack work their way up. Steven Schuman, another guy who was in the Final Four for the championship last season, starting in the 27th position. It'll be fun to watch, see the movers and shakers. That's kind of how it plays out here tonight.
Absolutely. Now the drivers are looping it around this course, getting ready to go green as they're coming out at 2. But these drivers certainly have a lot on the line as this is the start of the season. They've got 2 races here tonight. And, some of the biggest things I think for the drivers to worry about, they don't have a faster pair in either race. So they got to make sure that they keep their trucks clean if they want a shot to have great points. But another thing is I was looking at the rule book. This is my first time broadcasting this league. There is unlimited green-white checkers. So the drivers have to be aware of that. Also in pit road, there are 3 sets of tires for them to work with, the sets that they have on, and 2 in pit road. So we might see if a lot of cautions come out, what the tire strategy is going to be.
Yeah, tire strategy is going to be everything. We've seen all different types of strategies work out in this league. Sometimes when you don't even think it's going to work out, 2 tires, no tires, 4 tires. We'll see it all here tonight as we're getting ready to go green flag racing.
Pace truck pulls off. Kevin White up front. David Westergreen. They got the practice during the ARCA series. We'll see if they can translate it over to the trucks. Green flag out in the air as they come roaring down into turn number 1. This is a spot where we're going to be seeing a lot of drivers throwing it 3, 4, sometimes 5 wide as they're entering turn number 1.
Yeah, this is the time to try to move up through the pack if you can do it. And right now, the man on the move, it looks to be the 92 of Riley Barbello as he moves past David Westergreen for that second position. As you see the cars fanning out on the backstretch, trying to jockey for position. But right now, Kevin White is holding strong as they head down to turn 3.
Yeah, White's just going to be staying up front, running about all the way down the white line. And then once those tires start to wear in, they're going to move up a groove or 2 as the run goes along. But lap 1 into the books, and it's going to go to Kevin White. A bonus point goes to 38, and this is great to get as many points as possible, especially with this is a 13 race season, but you kind of double that because each week racing twice.
Yeah, points matter, and especially if he gets inverted, kind of gets towards that middle of the pack. You see how racy it gets as they're 3 wide right now, going down the backstretch, trying to figure it out as they're going into 3. If you want to get the good while it's there, and right now Kevin White looking strong as. Right now we're looking back at the 96 truck of Adam Tepe trying to work on the 90 truck of Johnny Eckert. And looks right now that high line's moving pretty strong, coming out of turn 4, but he's going to try to get back to him. I don't think he's going to have the drafting help, as right now we might be in another 3 wide situation heading into turn 1.
Driver that actually looked like to have issues early on, that's Steven Schuman, who is just now getting out of pit road, currently 2 laps down, but for the 24, needing cautions if he wants to get back into this race. This is terrible to see for Schuman, who was having such a good run at the end of the season trying to battle for a championship, and now this is not the way you want to start out the season.
Yeah, it's kind of a rough start for it, but he can definitely rebound if we do get some cautions. Might get benefit of waiver rounds and lucky dogs and that's such. So hopefully Schuman can turn it around and get back in that championship battle. Which again, there's a long season ahead. I think he's a guy that definitely can get it done.
Absolutely, and we touched on the fact that there were a lot of new drivers that came in, and we're starting to see some of the new blood doing well up front. I mean, you've got that of Austin McCurdy up in 7th place for the 47, one of those drivers that kind of can show up at 1.5 mile courses. I'm interested to see how this 47 machine is going to be doing here at the 2 mile course of Auto Club. Doing a great job currently, but he needs to start moving forward. And what's crazy about this track is it's kind of an ever-evolving race where you can be up front for the first, 5 to 10 laps. But those drivers that were saving their tires, they could be making that charge for the rest of the stint.
And one guy that's pretty good at saving tires is the guy right behind him running in 8th, Johnny Eckert. Switching from the pink colors last season, he's in the purple truck now, running that high side, trying to work on McCurdy, trying to get that 7th position. Maybe right now trying just to size him up just a little bit, but kind of staying in line, as right up ahead of them they have Dallas Myhand and Bayok trying to battle for the battle for the 5th position.
Bayok, another one of those drivers that was new, joined into this series this season, and he's up in the top 5. Great to see some of the new blood doing well, but right now, Dallas Myhand and Bayok, due to them staying side by side, it's giving opportunity for some of the drivers behind them, McCurdy and also Eric, they're going to be trying their best to move forward, and then also the battling for 2nd place. It's starting to get a little hot and heavy as the 2 of David Westergreen goes to the inside.
David Westergreen, new colors, new manufacturer. He was in Chevy last season, trying to make his way back up into that 2nd position. Not quite working out, and right throwing his hat into the ring, Seth Rawls, another new driver to the OSCA Truck Series. He's battling for that, trying to get into that 2nd spot as we go 3 wide for 2nd place at the line. And I think the line, maybe the top line, is going to probably be the preferred line going into 1, as Westergreen has to back out and kind of let the other 2 battle it out here. And right now, actually, yeah, Seth Rawls takes the middle line and makes it work, and he'll take over the 2nd spot.
Yeah, Rawls is really figuring out how to get low on the apex, hitting that white line, and then just drifting up just enough. And for that to work out, you need a lot of trust to the driver on the outside and hope that they're not going to be constantly pinching you. But due to the fact that he's getting plenty of room for the 92, we're seeing Rawls really making that inside at least stick close enough. But still, no one is pressured that of Kevin White. He's been staying steady around 2 to 3 tenths ahead of the rest of the field.
Yeah, he's kind of had a no-pressure race so far early in the going, as we're about 7 laps into the race here. 23 laps to go in half number 1. But right now, that battle is going on for 2nd between Riley Marabello and Seth Rawls, still heating up. And now Marabello gets the outside line going, and he'll take over that 2nd spot. And looks behind them. Looks like Bayok and Eckert working their way up to the front. Eckert said he was going to be a guy to watch out for. He's worked his way up into that 5th position. He's going to put heat on David Westergreen for that 4th spot. And just a note on Westergreen, I got to say this. I'm a guy from Wisconsin, Milwaukee Brewers fan. That's a very ugly truck there, David. If you watch this race, I'm just kidding. It's a pretty cool looking truck. Chicago Cubs. No, he's a big fan there, but got to give him a little crap about that. So still holding strong in the 4th spot, but right now heating up for that 5th spot as Bayok trying to make that move on the inside, see if he can make it work. Nothing doing, and he'll file back in line right behind Eckert as they head down into 3.
Yeah, I mean, for Eckert, he started back in 14th. He's now up to 5th, doing a great job for himself. But I touched on the fact that it seemed like no one was able to touch Kevin White. Well, that has changed, as here comes the 92 right on the back bumper, about to make the pass. And we're now coming around that 10-lap marker I was touching on, where you can be up front for the first 5 to 10 laps on a stint. But if you've been pushing too hard, those drivers behind you, they're going to be coming with a head of steam.
And look at Johnny Eckert making the bottom work, going through, getting a great run out of turn 2. He's going to look on the inside of Marabello as he's trying to put the heat on Kevin White, but going down the back stretch, that outside line just gets too great of a run. And I got to wonder, Sam, running that bottom line that Eckert's running and how much he pushed off that corner, how much is he going to be saving on that right front? Is he going to burn it up a little bit too much as he's coming through the field? Oh, maybe thought he was clear there. I thought he was going to make contact with the 25 truck of Seth Rawls, but they keep off each other. And right now, still all Kevin White as we get down to 20 laps to go.
Yeah, I mean, Eckert, that first move was such a gutsy call, and it looked like it was going to work to gain him at least 3 positions. But yeah, you touched on it. The tires are going to start to get warmed up. It is going to actually wear those tires more with the amount of arcing that we're seeing from the 90 machine. And, Eckert really made a bold move, but they're going to be 3 wide and now a blinking. Got to be careful. That's a very sketchy moment to have, especially with our front runners. Don't want that type of an issue. And the 92 goes into the wall, and now they're all scattering. 3 wide, going for 5th place on back.
And that's going to hurt Marbella as he falls all the way back into 7th. That's how close these guys are. And he's going to maybe even drop back to 8th position, and you got to wonder how much damage did he do to his truck. Will it hurt his performance? We'll see if he can climb back up through the field. As right now, Eckert even on the bottom trying to drop him back a few spots as well. Did he burn his stuff up? And I was kind of wondering too when Eckert was making that move originally, he was kind of the only guy on the bottom. As you can see how much the draft plays into this race, that he really didn't have the help on that bottom side, and that could also been the effect of, Westergreen into the wall as well.
Hard into the wall goes the Westergreen. He'll be still staying up there and dropping back. And as he continues to drop back, the battle for the lead continues on. Seth Rawls to the inside. He'll have enough space to duck it low and going to be doing a little bit of a slide job here to get in front of the 38. And this is the main thing, is that Rawls was moving forward, but slow enough that he was saving tires, and now to the point.
Yeah, he did that very smart, very methodically, worked his way up through the field, got on point. Now we're going to see if Kevin White can do the same thing, get that lead back, but he's got heat from Bayok. And right now it looks like they're going to get run down into the corner. Are they going to get it off? White's going to be able to pull in the slide job, and almost contact between Bayok and Rawls, but they able to keep it off each other. And Kevin White, just as quick as he lost the lead, he got it back. And well, maybe not so fast as Bayok's trying to get it going down into 1. But right now, it looks like Kevin White does have the drafting help, but Seth Rawls right on his rear.
Is that amazing racing actions going up front? Going to touch on some of the drivers further back. Vincent Isabella, one of our final 4 from last season, hard into the outside wall coming out of 4, doing exactly the same thing that we saw David Westergreen do, and he is now dropped back from 14th back to 21st.
Yeah, it looks like some of these trucks maybe getting tires wearing out, trucks pushing up a little bit, and you've seen a little bit of that damage on the right front of Vincent Isabella's truck, and that's going to probably hurt the handling of it as well, and maybe even a little bit of how much it will draft and how much speed you get down the straightaways, as you kind of see him still struggling to maintain that 21st position. As usually he's a guy that will work his way up through the field. He might need a caution to get that damage fixed to try to work his way up. And actually, speaking of guys kind of running back here, Gabriel Edwards right behind him, as you were mentioning before the broadcast, showed a lot of speed in practice, still struggling kind of back there in the pack as well. So it'll be interesting to see if they can work their way up as the race kind of winds down here, as we got about coming to 15 laps to go. As he pulls a slide job on Isabella right in front of him, and it looks like contact now for Edwards, and this is kind of becoming a problem with a lot of these drivers coming off of 4.
Cars blown up. That's the 47. That was Austin McCurdy, who was running up front on our top 10. He's now back in 26th. Blown out motor, and with how much we've already ran past the halfway marker, his race is done.
Yeah, it looks like some heavy damage. I don't know if he maybe got turned into the outside wall or what quite happened there, but it looks like he might have had some influence of why that motor blew up. As don't look now, but Bayok is taking the lead over Seth Rawls here. As right now, it just looks like they're just shuffling the deck here up front. And it's kind of a guessing game who's going to lead what lap. And right now, with 14 laps to go, Bayok does have the lead. But right now, Kevin White's trying to work his way back up front as he's going to put the heat on Johnny Eckert going into turn 1. And maybe trying to make that move. I don't think they're going to quite get that run going on the inside to catch up to Seth Rawls, as they'll kind of file in line here, as you see the kind of the top 4 kind of separating themselves out. Riley Marabell is trying to catch the top 4, but right now he's got a little bit of ways to go. I think he's about a half a second back of the top 4 group.
I mean, I got to say, though, as our front group just continues to duke it back and forth, car to watch out for. 37, Glenn is moving up, started all the way back in 24th position up to 7th. One of our biggest movers of the drivers that did not qualify. also got an update on what happened to Austin McCurdy. It looked like that of Brandon Dollar got up into the outside wall off of 4, and McCurdy had nowhere to go and ran right in the back bumper of that machine, and that's what blew up his engine.
Oh, unfortunate. Unfortunate for McCurdy, as he said he was running up front. And again, kind of the nice thing here in the OSCA Truck Series, he does have the second half to kind of rebound his night, so all might not be lost. We'll see if he can work his way up, kind of like Bundren is doing so far, up to the 6th position. That's kind of cool to see a guy that started that far back in the pack working his way up through the field methodically. And you got to wonder, once, we still got 12 laps to go here to settle this one out, but once the field inverts and maybe he starts a little bit closer to the front, or starts the next heat closer to the front, how he will fare being with a lot less cars to pass, as he's done a ton of work already so far.
Also want to touch on our last season's champion, Blake Barney. He is up to 8th after starting all the way back in 22nd position. So some of those drivers that did not qualify, they are making some great movement forward, and this is a lot of great information for themselves traveling through the pack in the first race, because now they could take that knowledge into the second race and really understand how that dirty air is going to affect them, how they can save their tires or be aggressive with their tires in that second run.
Yeah, and I think, it's a lot of learning you kind of got to do here in the first heat. So, especially some of the guys that are going to be up front here in heat number 1, they might change here in heat number 2, and I would expect, right now, kind of in that transfer position is our defending champion, Blake Barney. If he gets anywhere close to the front, he's probably going to stay there. Another guy, the 19 truck of Austin Beers, or maybe in the 21 truck here right now, the short track kid, he's also been fast all season long. Or last season he was fast all season long. Kind of a part-time contender here in the OSCA Truck Series, but did get quite a few feature wins as well, as that battle for the lead still on strong, as Rawls is right there looking or waiting to try to make that move right now, kind of standing put. But this is probably a time, I think, Sam, that you're probably just sizing up. Maybe don't want to pull that move too soon. Maybe try experiment a few things to see what won't work. But it kind of seems like with the way these trucks are drafting, and maybe with a certain slide job, you might be kind of a sitting duck.
Yeah, it's going to be extremely difficult for these drivers to really try to make some of these moves up front, as I do want to give note, Vic Bloom, another one of those drivers that looked confident that he was going to have a good run. He is now out of it with a blown engine and in pit road, getting service done, as they still race up front hard. I mean, some of these drivers we were expecting to have great runs, they are now out of it. This is kind of surprising for race number 1, but again, they still have race 2.
Yeah, race 2 to rebound here, and we'll see what happens with some of those guys. We'll have to keep note, and if they can rebound their day. Because even the guy like Steven Schuman, unable to make those laps up, still back in the 27th position. But don't look now. Slowly creeping up with these top 2 is that 90 truck of Johnny Eckert. Slowly trying to maybe just see if let these two guys battle it out here for a little bit, as we're down to 8 laps to go here in heat number 1. Can Johnny Eckert kind of play spoiler here and maybe surprise both of them and make it? We've seen him try to take that low line before. Maybe with only 3 trucks, it might work a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, all he has to do is make sure there's plenty of space between the car he's trying to pass and the one in front of them, so that he can make that clean slide job move. But if really the 2 drivers in front of him are too close, that dive bomb move just is not going to work out. It looks like it's good enough to pass at least 1 truck, but to pass multiple, that's when things get a little bit tricky, and that's going to be hurting the tires more. I think that what we're seeing from Eckert here is deciding to let our front 2 battle it out. They were running about 2-3 tenths faster than the field for the past about 4 laps or so, and that's going to be hurting those tires a little longer the run goes on. And as we're coming to the end of this race, there is plenty of time to let your tires cool off, stay close, and then make a last minute ditch to try to get a win.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think, maybe Rawls is trying to test that move out now as we're heading down into turn number 3. Looks like he almost powered by him there going down the backstretch. Didn't even need to get on the inside of the corner, and he's going to take the lead fairly easily over Bayak. But, well, don't look now. Spoke too soon, as Bayak's right there on the back bumper. He's going to dive down on the inside, and at the line, they're going to be side by side. And Bayak's getting the help from Johnny Eckert. And might have the little advantage going into one, but now Eckert moves up top to help Rawls going on the top side going into one.
6 laps to go here in race number 1 tonight, and right now it's between Bayok, Rawls, and Eckert, and these three have been doing so well. The next closest driver is going to be the 92, all the way back about 3 seconds back from our front three, but they got to be careful from bouncing off one another.
Yeah, it looks like maybe Rawls, I noticed maybe a couple laps ago too, just kissing the wall a little bit. He's come close a few times. It'll be interesting to see if he can stay off of it here. He's been flirting with it quite a bit, but so far so good. Able to keep right on the back bumper of Bayok, as right now you can throw a blanket over the top three as we get down to 5 laps to go. Which one are they playing a little cat and mouse with each other? Who's got the moves to get this victory here in heat number 1? We're about to find out here, and I expect fireworks to happen pretty shortly here.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of tension with our front three, and then I'm looking at the rest of the field. There's a lot of great battles going on as 2 cars actually were phased in one another. That was Austin Beers and Robert Hill Jr. They were phased into one another. Hill's been blinking in and out all race long, but that could have been costly in bringing out our first yellow of the night.
Yeah, we could have got one of those green-white checkers going on here, but fortunately they're able to keep it going. Beers currently holding on to that 12th spot, so he kind of fell off. He was moving up through the field there a little bit, but it looks like he might have got into the wall as well, as there appears to be a little bit of right front damage, as now he's got the heat of Walcott on him, and he's going to get around and take over the 12th position, put Beers back down into 13th, maybe even drops a little bit more, as he's running that big kitty scheme, as that was the fallen crew member for ID Racing, so always gotta mention Big Kitty at least once every broadcast, so at least we got it in here now. But I'm sure Beers wants to do a little bit better for Big Kitty and the fallen crew member there, and maybe heat number 2 he'll be able to work his way up to the front and get it done.
Yeah, I mean, for Austin Beers, he started in 18th. He's moved up now to battling for that, 12th, 13th position. So a net gain from where he started, but certainly a lot of action to be found. If we move up and watch the battling that's going on for 6th place, though, that is a lot of close action as we're coming to 3 laps to go for these drivers. There's a little bit of tension building where you kind of have a sense that these drivers could be bringing out a yellow if they get their tempers a little bit too hot here coming to the end of race number 1 here tonight.
Yeah, sometimes things heat up just a little bit here, getting closer to the end of these.
Just like that, like Barney swirling around in yellow flies.
Oh man, Blake Barney goes around. It doesn't appear to have too much damage. Maybe a little bit on the back end of the truck. He might have gotten in the back end of the wall, but a lot of hard work for Blake Barney. Maybe lost there. I might get a few of those spots back, but he's going to fall outside that transfer position, I do believe, and we'll check out what happened here. And you see there right before we watch the replay here that he has that front damage as well, so maybe his truck pushed up just a little bit, makes contact with Raleigh, and Raleigh makes a nice save, and I think he stayed out of the wall, no contact, but enough to bring out the yellow.
Yeah, got 45 degrees out of shape, so bringing out the yellow, especially with traffic coming his way. But man, yeah, we were talking about how that was kind of building up to this, where drivers were willing to make some moves that maybe their tires would not allow them to do. This caution does come out, and with Vincent Isabella being 1 lap down, should be putting himself back on the lead lap, possibly. No, he got the lucky dog. He is now 1 lap down. If another caution comes out, he should get that lucky dog position, but now it's going to get crazy. Pit road is busy, and you can win or lose a race on how well you do in your pit stop.
And is someone going to have – we've seen this before. I mean, I would think 4 tires is going to be the strategy that's going to win this race, as we've seen, how much the tire wear has gone along. But with a 3-lap shootout, there might be someone that might roll the dice just enough to take 2 tires and get that track position and see if they can hang on, if maybe not for a win, but to improve their position in this heat. And maybe we did get maybe one of the 4 truck of Chris Jordan. He's the one who wins the race off pit road. So I'm not sure if he either missed his pit box or decided to take 2 tires. So we are seeing a little bit different strategy for at least one truck, as I believe most everyone else looked like they took 4 tires.
I think for Chris Jordan, it was just an utter mistake. He came in, messed up his pit box, got too close to the wall, and instead of wasting time trying to
Oh.
get it situated, decides to just take off and not taking any service for himself. So looking at the rest of the field, though, everyone else, 4 tires was their service call, and a lot of machines, 20th on back, still in pit road, getting service and repairs done for themselves. I mean, leading that group is David Westergreen, who got into the wall earlier in the race around lap 10, 15. And, we haven't really touched on it, but the draft is one of the biggest factors here at Auto Club. It's kind of like Michigan, where it's a super speedway. The draft is important. You want to make sure you got the aerodynamics to stay quick, but also you got to worry about those tires as well.
Yeah, you definitely got to worry about tires. I mean, that's where you see some of the field spreading out on these longer runs, as we've seen the top three earlier, kind of break away from the rest of the pack. But you still see kind of some clumps together throughout the field, and that's where tire management is so important. But especially on these short runs, as we're getting down here to a green-white checkered, it's going to be pretty close to being at like a super speedway at Talladega or Daytona, where drafting help might be just what you need to get yourself into victory lane. So we'll see how nice these guys want to play, and it could be interesting. As you said, unlimited green-white checkers here in the OSCA Truck Series, and this could be fun.
Biggest thing that could keep us, the biggest thing for these drivers coming into this was brought up, looking at the rule book, was they wanted unlimited green flag, green white checkers because they wanted to make sure this race finished under green. That was the biggest philosophy when they came up with this rule, which I'm kind of a fan of. I want to see drivers racing around, get themselves to the finish under green. Gives us more action to watch if they get a little bit chaotic here entering turn one.
Yeah, and sometimes if you're a guy like Vic Bloom, who who needs a couple laps to get back, currently one back, and so is Steve Schuman, currently one lap down as well. Maybe luck their way into a better finish as well. So you never know what could happen. Even some guys like Chris Jordan, who misses pit box, we'll see what ground they can make up as they start in the back of the field. As we're getting back to green flag racing. Here with 3 to go as the green-white checkered is out, and Bayok's taking the lead as they're heading down into turn number 1.
Bayok got a massive run and a lead for himself, but could it be that this is too big of a lead when they come off the corner, as they're still side by side? Some new faces we haven't seen in the top 10. They are coming off of turn number 2.
Contact with Kevin White as Kevin White's going to the inside wall. He's able to take that back, hits the inside wall as it protrudes out. And Kevin White, a strong run here in heat number 1, goes up, and a blaze of glory there as he hits the inside wall. And it feels like there might have been a couple other trucks that got in maybe separate incidents, but it looked like Johnny Eckert just pushing a little bit too hard, making contact with the 38 truck and sending him around.
Yeah, the other incident that happened was with Dustin Dorr, but we're going to be seeing this one first with Kevin White and all of their shenanigans that happened.
Oh.
I mean, it's first going to be seeing Kevin White just absolutely sending it into the apron, and just that one kink could not get away from it. And that's the one thing that, like, these infield incidences is sometimes they just show up out of nowhere. And then we'll take another look at the other incident that happened with Dustin Dorr and a couple of other machines. This was the bigger wreck that actually brought out the yellow of the drivers that spun out on the racing surface.
Yeah, see what happened there with the 21 truck. It looks like a little checkup. Oh, maybe broke loose, maybe trying to anticipate the spin out ahead of him. Let's see what happens here.
And that's the smoke from Smith's issues, and then just cars too close and making contact.
Yeah, wondering too with maybe too much rear brake for that 21 truck, just kind of how he tried slowing up maybe for the spinning 38 truck, or just seeing the smoke and kind of reacting to it, just how his rear end kind of broke loose, maybe having a little bit too much rear gear as we're riding on board in the 21 truck, and sees that truck spinning and truck breaks loose on him, and luckily everyone avoids him. He makes a little bit contact with the wall. I don't think he's gonna be too much worse for the wear. He'll be able to keep on trucking as well. As I'm still surprised that 38 truck was still rolling after hitting that inside wall. I mean, thought he had it saved, and then where that wall kind of bowed out. Very unfortunate for that 38 truck too, and especially how strong of a performance he was having. Looked like definitely a top 8 run that was going for him.
Yeah, I mean, for White, it was such a great run he was having, and he started off hot. I know we didn't broadcast it, but these drivers did have an ARCA series for a little bit more track time, and White kind of just wiped the floor out of everyone else, absolutely dominating. Won his first heat, won the featured race, and then came into this race with really a lot of high hopes of winning this thing. For that 23 machine, just was not able to get it done here today, but try to get some repairs done, get back out there, and we'll see if maybe anyone else can gain some more time. But Mike, it's looking poised that we could be seeing a couple of more cautions. Plenty of time for this race as the drivers just hit 31 minutes, about to be 32 minutes into race time. So still got another about 28 minutes if needed for these drivers.
Yeah, plenty of time, and as we've seen out of these drivers, there's plenty of aggression to be had because you want every point, and even if you're a guy kind of a little bit further back, maybe not even quite in that invert position, you want to start close up front as possible. You don't want to work your way back all the way back to 26, 27, 28th. If you can gain 1 or 2 spots, and or it may be more, a handful of spots depending on what happens in front of you. It'll definitely pay off starting out in heat number 2. Try not to burn those tires up, as kind of mentioning some of those guys that were lapped down. Steven Schuman now back on the lead lap. He's in 23rd, and also Vic Bloom getting his lap back. So 2 guys that were kind of had some tough luck early on in the going. Maybe have a chance to pull off a halfway decent run here. And especially if we have more green white checkers, you never know.
Completely. I mean, for Schuman, he started in pit road. He missed the start of the race, started off 2 laps down. And for the 24, it has been a rebound type of a day. Just show your pace, be up there and willing to run as well as you can. And he's done just that, waiting and patient and needing these cautions. Now he's back up there. For Vic Bloom, though, he was involved in that last incident, so it was a terrible luck for himself. He'll have to hope that he's got enough and not blow up before this race is over, as the drivers are getting set to go. This is attempt number 2. We've got unlimited attempts in overtime for these guys. Race number 1 for season 2. Excitement in the air, as it's going to be Baycock as well as Benders who's going to be giving us the green. And green flag out in the air. It's going to be the 19 getting the best launch, and he's going to be trying to get as much of a lead coming out of 2. That's probably going to be the biggest factor for these drivers.
Yeah, you've seen him get through the gearbox pretty well there, just as he did on the last restart. Not quite as big of a lead.
Oh, no! Blake Barney once again going sideways. We see green, but hard contact with the 52. Spinning around, and another caution waves.
Caution with a lot of trucks involved. I believe Dallas Mahan and the 41 Dewar involved again. I can't quite see who the black truck was involved there as well, but plenty of trucks involved in this one. As, man, some of the guys having rough luck here.
I mean, that looked almost like identical to what brought out our first caution of the day with Blake Barney, where he just got a little bit of a tap and away he went. That black car you were talking about, that was the 60 of Thomas that actually was blown up, and looks like his day is done.
Capuano just hits right in the right spot, and the truck blows the motor up, and his heat is done. And a lot of damage on a lot of these other trucks. It looks like Gabriel Edwards has some damage there as well. As, man, oh man, things are getting interesting. And then, just like that, Vic Bloom, involved in that last incident, worked his way back up. 18th, 19th position for some of those guys that were restarting back in the pack. And, if you can dodge some of these wrecks and with these unlimited green and white checkers, you never know. Vincent Isabella, we just talked about him not too long ago, being back and, mired back that 22nd position. He's in that 15th spot, kind of working his way up through the field as well. So if things kind of play out the way they have been, did Johnny Eckert make contact again? Let's see how that kind of unfolded between the 90 and 00. It looks like maybe Barney pinched down on the 90 truck that time around.
Yeah, I mean, Barney was trying to force it 3 wide with himself and also with the 77 of Raleigh, and it just didn't really work out. Got that contact with the 90, and away they went. But look at the rest of the field. There's a lot of drivers, extremely hard contact. For Barney, he did blow up his engine. He tried to stay out there and coast his way, but was not able to.
Yeah, so his night is done. So our defending champion starting out in a hole here. Oh, there was some hard contact with that 52 getting in the back of the 00. It's going to be interesting to see how much motor damage is on that 52 truck as well. And if that motor will expire once we go back to green flag racing. But, man, a lot of trucks getting involved in that wreck. But right now, still up front is Bayok and Bundren. Still trying to duke this out. Again, Raleigh and Marbello behind them. And even Johnny Eckert still holding on to that 5th position. And we've seen how he can kind of work his way up, but not a lot of laps to do it. And kind of got to stay out of trouble, but so far it's been kind of difficult to do.
You know, it's kind of hard with the, races being so short, 30 laps. It's so hard not to just stick with the drivers up front and that racing action. Some of the drivers I wanted to touch on have now cracked into the top 10. I mean, Wilcott, he's up to 6th. He started back in 19th place. And then behind him, Austin Beers, he started in 18th, 17th for Osborne. I mean, they've been able to crack into the top 10 for themselves for these drivers that started outside of the top 10 when they started this race.
Yeah, a lot of guys. Yeah, we haven't even mentioned. Yeah, Brian Osborne and all so far tonight. Robert Hill Jr. in 9th and Adam Tepe. I believe we did mention him. He was in the top 10 to start out, but I think kind of faded back and working his way back up in the top 10. It's interesting to see how this order will play out from what it is right now to what it will be once the checkered flag hits, because there's still plenty of trucks out here that are healthy enough to make some aggressive moves, and I don't know if we're done just yet.
Oh, absolutely not. We are not done at all. There's no way. Also, David Westergreen, he's at 11th, almost cracked back into the top 10 for himself. And then also Dennis Weeks, haven't talked about the 97 at all. He started all the way back in 25th position. He's got a shot for the top 10 to start out this season in race number 1.
Yeah, kind of surprising. Haven't mentioned him a lot. Again, a guy who was a part-time competitor last season, but did win, I believe, a race at Michigan last season. So every time he showed up, he's had some speed. So maybe starting to flex his muscles later, trying to show up late, trying to maybe crack into that top 10, maybe even get into that invert position and put himself up front for heat number 2. But looks like we're getting ready to go back green flag racing.
Maycock, Raleigh, some of those newcomers that they weren't here last season, trying to win the first race of the season to kind of make a statement here. Pace truck is off and green flag in the air as Matthew Baycock is on the way and making his way, trying to get a bigger lead. This is probably his best launch so far.
Yeah, he's got it going through the gears really well here, diving down into turn 1. And maybe the best sight he can see is the cars side by side behind him as the 92 of Riley Marbell is trying to take that 2nd position away from Bundren, and it looks like he will do it out of turn number 2. But the question is, can he hold on to it, as looks like the top line's got a little bit more help. But as we kind of mentioned it before, as we're getting closer to the white flag, is that too big of a lead for Baycock as we're getting ready to take the white flag?
I mean, if he's got a big enough lead, it's going to be a lot of work from the drivers behind him, as they're going to be shuffling 3 wide, now slicing and dicing for 2nd place. But it's going to be Matthew Baycock taking the white flag. We're running this thing to the end. 3, almost 4 wide, battling for 3rd place, as they are not giving an inch, as Baycock just continues to pull away. When he crossed the line, it was a half a second. As he continues to move on, it's now going to be the 90, trying to do his best, but the 72, got to watch out. It's the 37 almost got spun around.
So, wow. Where did some of these guys come from very late in the run? Johnny Eckert, we talked about him. He was in 5th. The battle is going to be for maybe 3rd position between Wilcott and Bundren as they're coming down to the line. It looks like maybe a little bit too late as a last-ditch effort for Johnny Eckert. Not going to be able to get done. Matthew Bayok wins heat number 1 here for the OSCA Truck Series, California 120.
Yeah, if anything, it's more It's like the 60 because we're gonna be going
Or
for it once
60.
again.
Yeah. Wow. And man, that was a pretty interesting turn of events there. Johnny Eckert able to hold on. A lot of cars doing some victory burnouts. Guys kind of holding in. We talked about Osborne just cracking into the top 10, holding on to that 7th position. David Westergreen able to make his way into the top 10, finishing 10th. So a couple of movers and shakers to kind of round out that heat number 1. But man, that was quite a bit of excitement. And maybe if Eckert could have made a move just a little bit earlier, he might have had a shot at a win because he was coming quick there, coming to checkered flag, but it was just a little bit too late.
Yeah, if anything, I think we touched on it earlier in the race. Just that first race was all about taking notes, trying to set yourself up. Biggest difference, though, a little bit of a change in the weather. We went from daytime racing to now it's starting to get dark. They're going to be having ourselves 3 minutes of warm up time, and currently now about 2 minutes of warm up time for themselves. And we'll try to get our winner of heat number 1 here tonight. And once we get back, we'll have a quick interview and then we'll get ready for race number 2. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. It's race number 2 of the night, and this has been a crazy one. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Mike Goodman, and then up in the production chair is Matt Dyer. We were not able to get our race winner for race number 1 here tonight, but we will pick up with Matthew later on after race number 2. Hopefully, he'll make it into the top 3, and we can talk to those drivers. But Mike, we got to see one race here tonight. It's race number 2. And now the weather has changed a lot.
Yeah, like, as you're talking about, the track should be getting a little cooler here as we're going from day to night. As we've seen some of the issues after a few laps under the day conditions, you wonder if these trucks are even going to tighten up a little bit more. So that means probably saving the tires are going to be a little bit more important because these trucks might be just a tick more on the tighter side. So it'll be interesting to see who's going to be the best of that bunch here tonight, who can save the tires and be fast. As right now, Austin Beers on the pole. Can he get it done? We know he likes to get on that loud pedal, but can he conserve those tires if this track does, in fact, get a little bit tighter?
Drivers getting ready to go in. Like you said, top 8, they have been inverted. So now Austin Beers, who might have been thinking strategy-wise, he's got the pole with himself as well, with Brian Onson going to be up in second place. Our top 2, very different from what we've been seeing all race long. And for all the other drivers that had the big mistakes, like Blake Barney, Austin McCurdy, they had to start all the way in the back of the field. We'll see if they can climb their way through traffic.
But the best thing is, everyone in this heat number 2, they have fresh trucks. Guys, guys like Barney, Capuano, Dollar, Rawls that had some tough luck in the last heat. They got fresh trucks. They have a lot of work to do, but at least they have a clean truck to do it in. And we're going to see how this plays out. I'm expecting a lot of different contenders to run up front, but we're ready to go back green flag racing here in heat number 2.
Well, it's time to conclude the California 120 with this one. Austin Beers gets the green flag, and it is go time as all the drivers are lined up still side by side. Really wasn't the best launch for the 21, but we stay equal coming into turn number 1.
Ooh, and Bundren's pushing, getting close to the back bumper of the 21 truck.
Oh, 4 wide.
Oh man, the 15 truck gets loose as he's going to file his way to the back as Osborne, as he had that great starting position, he's going to lose it all as he falls out of the top 16. And a lot of shuffling in the back as there's still 4 wide in some areas trying to get things settled out. But everyone, Bayak's around, our Heat 1 winner, spins out, Bundren makes contact, hard in the wall. There's, flipping. Heavy contact, a lot of crashing involved, Dewars involved, 25 of Rawls, he was fast in Heat 1. A lot of contenders that were running up front in Heat number 1, Sam, are already out here early in Heat 2.
Oh no, I believe someone's already smoking and is done. That's Seth Rawls. That is out of this thing. Other drivers that were involved with this, that was going to be Schuman, who also was involved with Kevin White. That got a little bit of a mixie there. So at least 8 drivers all involved in this thing, as we are looking at just the chaos that happened here early in race number 2.
I mean, the McCurdy who had bad luck in Heat number 1 just rocket launched off of Bayak there, and I mean, almost flew into outer space. Man, he almost full throttle, kind of nowhere to go in that situation. Maybe not realizing that car last second get knocked up in front of him, just see him flying there, doing cartwheels. Maybe not quite outer space, but might have a future in some Olympic gymnastics there. I'd give the landing at least a 7.
I mean, Tokyo is coming very soon for these drivers. Summer Olympics around the corner. Why not get some practice here as more drivers continue to pile into pit road? It is a very busy place as at least 5-6 drivers automatically just towed themselves in. And Austin McCurdy going to be our first DNF of race number 2. He's officially parked it and has left the server.
Yeah, a tough break. It just appeared. Oh, even Barney breaking it loose there all by himself, and it looked like I don't think Bayak had any help going around. Maybe these cars getting going for maybe a little bit tighter in the corners. I guess not quite sure, not out there running, but maybe right on exit. Maybe they're getting a little bit snappier off of exit, and maybe that's what we've seen. Some of these guys digging it hard, trying to get that early positions up forward on these restarts, and sometimes that doesn't pay off and you can lose the truck. And just many trucks involved. I believe pretty much everyone from 18th on back. I think you look at, I don't know if Barney got involved, but Tepe I know was involved in 19th on back. It had some sort of damage in this wreck, so quite a few trucks got some damage here. And wow, that's the excitement that we ended heat number 1 on just carried right over to the beginning of the heat. Usually I thought maybe we'd see them playing a little, or maybe not playing nicer, but driving a little bit more, or less aggressively, I should say, to start this one off. But sometimes track position is so important for these guys, and it kind of showed there early on in the going.
Absolutely. Kyle Wallergreen going to be also another driver just DNFing. And yeah, I mean, you were right. It's 18th on back. All have come in to get some type of service done, but that's not all the drivers that were involved in the carnage, as some other machines still trying to figure out if they want to get themselves cleaned up. I mean, Kevin White, he was heavily involved, and he was going to be staying out there even with the damage that he has. So at least 10 to 12, maybe even 14 drivers involved in this thing, which is almost half the field already with some type of damage in just the first lap and a half.
Yeah, I would say that's pretty close to half the field. I think there's about 28 cars that are on track or were on track at one point. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. The field thins out a little bit. Hopefully some of these guys can make it back out and improve their points position. You never know, can get some of those laps back, as we've seen guys like Vic Bloom and Schuman do in heat number 1. But very few cars that are kind of wrinkle-free in the going. But we'll get back on green. I'm sure there's going to be a few more trucks getting some race wear into them, as I expect them to be beating and banging here a little bit more as we get back going green. Early on in the going, we're coming to green with 26 laps to go. And see if Austin Beers can hold on to that lead, as he's going to take the restart here. And Beers goes through the gears early on the inside, gets a better restart than he did on the initial start, as he's gonna be single file, as right now Marbella and Rallies are gonna battle for the second position. But Johnny Eckert, we've seen how aggressive he can be, especially sometimes on these restarts, trying to go on the outside. He's gonna get himself alongside the 77 on a turn 2. Is he gonna get the run? I think he will, as he's going to go side by side, and they're going to drag race down the backstretch. We're going to see who can settle it out for that third position.
Yeah, we touched on weather being one of the factors. I think that's what primarily caused that first chain reaction of those drivers getting loose and spinning out. The track temp when they were racing was around 92 degrees. Oh boy, Beers into the wall, 3 wide for the lead, and now it's going to be Marbella going to be doing his best on the inside, but here comes the 90 on the outside, getting all the help. And in one fell swoop, everything up front has changed.
And don't look now, here comes Westergreen, starting in 10th position. Oh, and Jordan gets a little loose. I think everyone's going to be able to stay off of him, and he's going to keep on going, holding on to that 6th position. But how about that 2 truck of David Westergreen quickly moving up, starting in that 10th position, working his way up to the 4th spot. See if he can make a better go of it and maybe improve on that 10th position. And we've seen how he can run. He's a playoff driver from last year. And here comes Blake Barney as well, moving up through the field, starting a little farther back after getting a little bit of damage under that first caution, working his way up into 12th. But I expect to see him up front relatively soon. But we've seen this speed by our leader, Johnny Eckert, almost getting that win over Bayak or getting close to that bumper, at least right as the Heat 1 ended. So I expect maybe clean air. This might be playing into his hands just a little bit.
Oh yeah, he doesn't have to worry about that dirty air. He can try to save his tires a little bit more, but it looks like he's willing to just start to get aggressive and move forward as much as he has to. Now up to over a half a second lead over the 92, and our front 4 have done a great job pulling away from the rest of the field, but it looks like Dallas Myhan in 5th place. He's got a train of cars that are willing to move forward, as they're still duking it back and forth, being 2, 3, 4 wide at times. And I got to give credit to the 52, that of Gabe Edwards. I noted him at the start of the broadcast being a driver to watch out for, and he has been willing to go 3, 4 wide to make his way up front. Started this race back in 22nd place, now up to 6th.
Yeah, working his way front, he was able to stay out of the carnage that was the first caution, and he's moving himself up relatively quickly here as well, as long as that 00 behind him, trying to work their way up front. And how about Dennis Weeks as well? We mentioned him late in heat number 1. He's into the top 10 as well. But how about Vincent Isabella? He struggled that first heat, even early on in the going, able to work his way back up into that 9th position. I believe he started this heat race in 16th, So able to work his way up as well. Looks like his truck is so far so good on not having any damage. And again, we're starting to see some of the guys that didn't have the best luck in heat number 1. It's still early, but kind of looks like they might be turning their fortunes around a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that you never really know if when the chaos is gonna rumble. So make your charge now if you want a shot. Oh man, this is so so demoralizing for some of those drivers, but great racing for us up here in the booth.
Yeah, we have nothing on the line up here, so it's fun to sit up here and watch all the action unfold without any skin in the game. Because I'm sure there's some drivers that are frustrated about how their night has gone so far, but plenty of nights to turn around yet. As well as again, we see Dennis Weeks battling Dallas Mahan for that 5th position. Looks like he's going to get it done, and right behind him, Blake Barney working on Gabriel Edwards. And that's going to be for the 7th position. Ooh, it looks like the outside line is getting the run. And Edwards is able to maintain his spot. And he's got that other pink truck behind him, that 42 of Vincent Isabella, working that top line as well. Ooh, Edwards is going to go to the bottom, see if he can get around my hand as well. Doesn't look like he's going to make it stick, though, as my hand, now he's getting a run. Oh, yeah, do you have a car?
In the back. That's going to be that of Kevin White. Absolutely spun around. Looks like he might have been able to avoid the wall, but got a little bit of help from the 24 of Schuman. And oh boy, those two they were bumping on one another during that first caution, and now they get it duking and bumping once again. Bring out another one.
So one thing I like seeing up here in the booth is maybe a little bit of a rivalry going. Is this what we're looking at? You see him go down into turn number 1. Well, maybe pushed up the track a little bit there for the 24, and goes around, able to stay off. Ooh, it looks like another truck spins out as well. Not sure who that was. Kind of flew through the screen pretty quick. We'll go back. Let's see that again in an instant replay. This is a 72 truck of Walcott. He goes around. And I believe he stayed off everything as well after he kind of broke loose here as well. But seeing definitely more cautions here, and going to be interesting to see if anyone takes tires this caution. And still 20 laps to go. We're about 12, or I guess 12 laps in, 18 to go roughly. And I'd maybe roll the dice here a little bit, get some fresh rubber, and see if you can make it. Ooh, try to stay off the 38. That's why he got a little loose there. Oh, it didn't even turn around. Nice save there for the 72. But
drivers bouncing. Yeah, drivers bouncing off one another coming into pit road. It is.
Oh, they're busy. Dicey. There we go. That's what I wanted to see. Get those tires.
Absolutely. You got 2 sets to work with in pit road, so why not take it? Well, I know for our race 1 winner, the race is already done. He's parked it for the day, but since he's parked, we can get a talk with Matthew up in the booth. Matt, it's Sam and Mike up in the booth. You got us?
I got you guys.
Well, race 2 obviously didn't go the way you hoped it would. You're out of this thing pretty early on, but race 1 certainly went in your favor. Talk about how race 1 was for yourself.
Race 1 was fun. I spent the first portion of it just trying to take care of the right front and not push my brains out, and it seemed like as the race went on, people just started falling to that. And then once we got out front, Seth, being my teammate, was being real gracious with me, not pushing it at all and kind of chilling with me. And it's unfortunate he got speeding and he didn't get to finish up there with me. But I actually wouldn't have been able to make it another green-white checkered. We were going to run out of fuel if we didn't go green there at the end. I would have been really upset if that had happened. But no, I was just trying to manage the tires as best as I could and then try not to get eaten up by the pack on the green-white checkers. But overall, it went a lot better than I thought I could. That's the first race. I couldn't tell you a whole lot about the second race, considering I was only in it for about 2/3 of a lap.
Well, I guess I got one question for you there, Matthew, about maybe the difference. I guess only on that 3/4 of a lap with kind of going at night, racing at night. Was there a different feel in the truck? Was it maybe a little tighter, maybe snap loose on you? What was kind of the difference of handling wise on the truck?
So I had ran laps in day and night, and the track temp was way lower, and the tires are already cold. So you don't I don't know you guys probably saw it in the booth. People were wiggling and having to correct it back the entire first lap. And made a 4-wide move down the back, and I knew it was aggressive, but I had it. And then I just knew entering from the bottom, I wasn't going to have grip. And then I was trying my best to tiptoe around, and I was just surprised when it went around, and I couldn't get it back going straight. Yeah, it just started going around, and I didn't do a good enough job saving it. So I feel bad for taking a bunch of guys with me, but yeah, nothing you can do about that.
Absolutely not. Well, Matt, congratulations on the win for the first race. We'll give you some space to do any shout outs that you want right before we go green here.
Oh yeah, shout out to Shift Esports and my teammates that were running today. Seth Rawls and Seth painted the beautiful SR design truck. That's all I got.
Well, Matt, congratulations on your win. A great way to start out the season. I know the second race didn't go that way, but we know for sure next week you can really rebound from here. And have a great rest of your night, and hopefully you'll do well next week.
Thank you, you guys too. Thank you.
Well, Mike, pit road was busy, and they are certainly scattered now.
Yeah, they're scattered. We still have Johnny Eckert able to hold on, get off pit road into the lead, and he's going to see if he can maintain that lead that he had right before the caution came out. But there's going to be a lot of hungry drivers behind him. One especially being that 77 of Raleigh that's on the outside, but he's going to have to duck down as Eckert gets a good start as they go back green flag racing as they're down to turn 1. But here comes Vincent Isabella trying to make moves into turn number 1 as he's going for that 4th spot, chasing after David Westergreen. But how about his teammate making an aggressive move as well, Blake Barney? Oh, trying to make it stick. And just as we were talking about Bayok not being able to make that aggressive move stick on the cold tires with the cooler track temperatures, Barney had a little bit of trouble on the bottom side, loses all that momentum, and with all that being said and done, Westergreen was able to hold on to the 2nd spot, and now Marbello moving up into the 2nd position, and here we have a battle for the 7th spot between, well, I guess 6th spot between Barney, Weeks, and Myhand as things still heating up as we're kind of trying to sort the field out after this restart.
Yeah, I mean, this battle that's going on for that 6th place position, Blake Barney, I thought for sure we were going to be seeing him absolutely spun around, but he was able to really hold up, stay clean for now, and then in front of them, the battle that's going on for 3rd place, certainly heating up. David Westergreen, he's got a fresh truck now. He's able to really stay up front and really showing that when he doesn't have that little bit of a dings on the right side from scrubbing the wall, he's got a fast 2.
Yeah, I'm sure he's going to be aggressive, but yet not too aggressive to get into the wall again, because that definitely hurts your truck getting into it. And with a clean, fresh truck, he's showing some power here in the top 5. But another guy, our defending champion, Blake Barney, able to rebound after that little wiggle just a few laps ago. It looks like he's going to move into the 5th spot. And Dallas Myhand, you talked about on top of the broadcast, too, how methodically he can be about saving tires and also being very quick and aggressive. And right now, you know, having that track position and having a clean truck so far, he looks like he's putting himself close enough within a distance to have a really good chance to get a good run here in heat number 2.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing for Dallas has always been if he can make it to the final 15 laps of a race, he's got a shot to finish in the top 5 almost every time. But he always gets some type of bad luck that puts him in a bad area. But currently, doing a great job for Dallas Myhand currently is trying to make the pass here and currently running in 7th place. It's watching all these drivers side by side. It's our leader really having no pressure and just watching in his mirror everyone else slicing and dicing.
Yeah, slicing and dicing. Maybe Westergreen trying to throw his hat into the ring for that 2nd position, but he's going to maybe try to move on, is it the 92 of Marbello on the outside. And now they're 3 wide back for the 2nd position as Eckert's looking at that in his rearview mirror as he's driving nice and easy with the lead. It's going to go down to just back to a 2 wide battle between the 92 and 77. These guys look like they're racing pretty hard, and you see that 77 pushing up, and you got to wonder as these laps wind down. I mean, it's going to be a shorter run. I believe they're only going to have like 18 laps to go from when they went green on these tires, but still something you could burn off your right front pretty quickly here. And I'm wondering if that 77's trying a little bit too hard to get that 2nd spot and how that's going to fare out once we get a few more laps in on a green.
Yeah, I was going to touch on it before we had a giant wreck about 2 cautions ago, but with the weather change and the fact that it's cooler, the tires take a little bit longer to warm up. We started during our day race in race number 1. It was around 92 to 96 was the range that the track was evolving throughout that time. Here currently the track temp is 80 degrees. It's a very cool temp, and that means it takes maybe a little bit more than a lap and a half to warm up these tires than it would during a day race.
Yeah, and that's a quite a big difference too on how the tires heat up and how the track will handle here. And as you see, the field's maybe spreading out a little bit more than we don't have quite the clumps yet as we see in heat number 1, but a little bit further between each car than we've seen earlier in heat number 1. But you got to wonder who's going to manage those tires the best is Isabella and Barney. They're almost, I think they're working their way up through the field side by side as they're trying to figure out which ID racing truck's going to be the better of the two. And they're slowly working their way up both into the top 5, battling for the 4th spot. As Westergreen kind of falling back a little bit, wondering if maybe did he use up a little bit too much tire, or maybe he's saving a little bit and letting these guys kind of duke it out and try to swindle them at the end of the race.
I mean, our leader trying to snake it down the straightaway, but Isabella gets loose into the outside wall. He tried to snake with everyone else, and it backfired for himself. Now Isabella, hard side damage, right side damage on this truck. That whole entire rear end is kind of jacked up in a way where he is now going to lose time and ground. So we're going to be seeing a replay of what happened to Vincent Isabella coming out of turn number 4 in the middle of the trial. You're going to see it here. He just gets loose. And a little bit of a bump from the 97 from Weeks, and it launched himself up in the outside wall.
It wondered maybe he was looking a little bit too much on the front, off the front bumper, trying to follow his teammate up there, and didn't realize the run the 97 had. That's quite a bit. That's quite a bit of a lick for that 42 truck. So he's gonna maybe have to see pit road before he's gonna be back up front. He's gonna have to have some of that damage fixed, especially with that spoiler. Getting crinkled up as well. That's going to be tough for his truck to handle here to finish off this heat. But his ID Racing teammate is currently working his way up into the top 3, or trying to, as he's going to get alongside, or try to get alongside of Riley Marabello here into turn 3. But he's going to be pushing up quite a bit too. I think he's going to let off just a little bit because he's going to push up the track, and Marabello still will currently hold on to that position. But man, how about that 97 truck just kind of slowly working his way up, kind of following. He was kind of following those 2 ID Racing trucks, working his way up through the field, and he's again putting himself within a puncher's chance to win this race, and maybe saving his tires as well as he's moving up through the field.
Yeah, I mean, Dennis Weeks, we look at Weeks' first race. He started in 25th and slowly made his way up to 11th. And because of finishing in 11th, it makes him start in 11th in our heat number 2. So he started in 11th, he's up to 5th. It's just been an ever-evolving, moving forward type of a night for the 97. I mean, from race 1 to race 2, you got to feel comfortable and confident in the fact that you've been able to at least continue to move forward in both races.
Yeah, and certainly able to do so, getting into the top 5. Can he even repeat, a similar track to where he won at last season at Michigan? Auto Club, kind of a clone to the Michigan Speedway, and so far showing some muscle here in heat number 2. But Johnny Eckert, he doesn't have it as easy as he's had it for most of this heat, as we're going to come down to 5 laps to go next time they hit the stripe. And Kian Raleigh is right on the bumper now, starting to put some heat on that 90 truck. He's going to get a good run off the corner, and ooh, I thought maybe that 90 truck was going to get close into the wall, able to keep it off, I do believe. But he's going to have to drive that truck maybe a little bit harder than what he had been doing, because now he does have a contender in that 77 trying to make that move on the bottom. I don't think he's going to make it stick right now, but he's at least playing in that ballpark now, and maybe put a little bit of pressure on that 90 truck. Can he get it done? We'll find out, as we do have 5 laps to go.
I mean, look at Keenan Raleigh's. No, I mean, looking at where he started in 4th. During the first race, kind of was an under the radar type of a race for the 77. He was in the top 10 the whole entire race. We never really talked about him because he didn't put himself in any type of danger. But because of all the different drivers that were the favorites being caught up in our first major wreck that took out and damaged over half the field in our first lap and a half of race number 2, it's now given some of these under the radar drivers from our first race to have this chance. That's exactly what Riley's doing here. 4 laps to go for these drivers. Thank you for coming on and watching here on the Blitz Racing Network. This is our first official league race on this channel, and it's an exciting one. Got to see a race 1 that got to multiple green-white checkered attempts. Here today, it's looking poised that we could see another green-white checkered attempt because of some of these close racing battles. They're getting intense.
Yeah, it's everyone trying to get that one position, try to better themselves in the points. You look at those guys in the top 2, Johnny Eckert finishing second in heat number 1, and as you just mentioned, Rally finishing in 4th and now potentially right around that 2nd position. So they're going to put themselves into a good points payout here after week 1 here of the OSCA Truck Series. So any little thing, all those points add up by the end of the season to put yourself in that chance to get into the playoffs and win the championship. And even speaking of Bayok, if he shows up every week, he's won that heat. He is also locked in if he does start in enough races. But right now, as we get 2 laps to go, we got Kian trying to make that move on the inside. He's forcing make that move. Can he do that slide job? He's gonna have to do it to make it stick, I think, and he's gonna do it. He's clear, and he's gonna slide up in front of him. But will we see the crossover move coming down into turn 3 as Eckert's right there on the back bumper? Oh, both trucks getting a little sideways there, going down into turn 3, side by side, coming out of turn number 4. Who's gonna get it done as they're coming down to the white flag?
Oh, Eckert's going to be moving up just slightly, and that's going to be putting Raleigh in a tricky situation, but he's on the outside. I think that's where you really want to be if he can just get a little bit of a nose ahead on the entry of turn 1. But because they're side-by-side racing so hard, Blake Barney, one slip-up, and it gives him a chance to try to steal a win here.
Yeah, he could just be waiting for these 2 boys to settle it out, and he might be able to come out the victor. As I don't know if Eckert's clear enough to do the slide job. No, they're going to drag race down the back straightaway. Who's it going to be? Is it going to be Raleigh? Is it going to be Eckert? I think, like you said, Raleigh's going to have the preferred position, but they're going to crossover move, and Eckert's going to get the run on the high side if he can do it. As they're coming down, Raleigh's got the position coming out of turn 4. Looks like he got a pretty good run coming out of the turn 4, and they come down to the line. Keenan Raleigh is going to win heat number 2. Johnny Eckert comes home in 2nd, and Blake Barney will bring it home in 3rd.
It wasn't from a lack of trying. You saw Eckert. He was trying to go down onto the apron and just got a little loose. Luckily able to hold on for 2nd place. But Keenan Raleigh gets a win here for race number 2 of the night. What a way to start the season off for this team. Finished in 5th place to start off, round race number 1, then finishing in 1st. That's one of our best real finishes from race 1 to 2 out of the whole entire field. I think the only driver that beat him out might have been the 92, who finished in 4th place for both races.
Yeah, it was a very good night for a couple of those guys. Again, Kian finishing 4th and 1st. Eckert kind of being the bridesmaid in both races, just coming up short. Thought maybe getting that run on the outside, he could drag race him down to the checkered flag, but just didn't quite have enough again. And then Riley Marabello, good, consistent 4th place runs. I think those are going to be your top 3 guys after the points are paid out here tonight. And man, what a race here tonight as 2 different winners. What a way to start the season, and a couple guys that are new to the series, so it's good to see to have these guys hopefully coming back for more here in the OSCA Truck Series.
Absolutely. The newcomers gonna be absolutely showing up and sweeping the night. As here's your final results. It's gonna be that of Raleigh, Eckert, Barney, and then Marabello is gonna be finishing out in 4th. Weeks, Hill Jr., and then you look at some of the rest of the drivers that finished out here. I mean, some of these guys had some great rebounding days. Other drivers just had poor nights all night long, and they're excited for next week to show up.
Yeah, and how about Capiano? Finishing 7th position after getting in a wreck late in heat number 1, able to salvage a decent night in heat number 2 in 7th position, and kind of surprised by that 42 truck. We seen how hard he got into the outside wall, able to maintain that 10th position, and a solid run for the 2 truck as well. Gabriel Edwards in 11th. It's a great night for some of these guys that were regulars last season, looking to start off pretty strong here in season number 2.
And we look at some of the rest of the field. I mean, I know for Kevin White, he was hoping that he would have kind of a solid night, especially on how his night kind of started with the ARCA series and dominating that. And I think he had a little bit too much confidence after the way that he dominated that series coming into the trucks, because those are two completely different beasts. But some of the other drivers and where they finished. I mean, Wilcott, he had some great showings. Might not have finished where he wanted to be, but some of the others also for Schuman. I think for Schuman, he was hoping for a complete different night as he started off just having to be on pit road, start out race number 1, then being involved in the first wreck to start out race number 2. A lot of mix-ups happened here tonight for some of these drivers.
Yeah, and that's kind of how sometimes that happens with these 2 different heats. It could be a tale of 2 different races for you. As Austin Beers again, finishing 8th position, kind of falling back to 19th. Kind of had a rough night of it. Seth Rawls, some of these guys like Rawls and White, and Bayak that one heat number 1. Overall, you didn't maybe have the best night, but I think a lot of these guys have shown speed that they can be competitive, and at least if there's a little bit of a silver lining and how your day might have ended up, at least you can say, yeah, I can hang with these guys. I think, if just something goes right next week, I could be contending for wins. And I'm certainly, like Rawls, he was battling for the lead late in that heat, and Kevin White, how dominant he was early on in heat number 1. I mean, I know your head's probably going to be hanging a little bit, but I think there's some optimism there to be looked at as well.
And we'll now look at the last of our drivers and where they finished. Michael, we were really hoping for you to have a better running, but maybe if you showed up for the race, you would have got some more points.
yeah. The car just wouldn't move. I think we forgot to put a motor in it today, and it just didn't work out.
Well, that's your final unofficial results. There will be some talks from the admins on different accidents that happened, but we'll now bring in our 3rd place runner here tonight, Blake Barney, up into the booth. As Barney, really, I mean, what a night he had for himself. Blake, it's Sam and Mike up in the booth. You got us?
Yep.
Well, race 2 seemed to come out a lot better than race 1. And race 1 seemed to be just an up-down race for yourself. But race 2, you were up front battling for most of this time.
Yeah, race 1 definitely wasn't good for me. I made 2 mistakes. One was not knowing how tight the guy was with me on the outside, and caused an incident. And then I just got impatient. I started in the back. I didn't qualify to see what I could do from the back, and I actually made it up front in the first race, but just got impatient. So I had to do the same thing in the second race, come from 28th. So I was definitely smarter, and this is where we should have been the first race, but just impatient, stupid mistakes.
Yeah. Kind of again a tale of 2 different positions, maybe making those mistakes, but overall showing that typical ID racing speed that you guys had last year, even with the absence of the late great Big Kitty. But I guess overall, knowing that you worked your way up to the front in both heats, does that kind of lead you to some promise that you can repeat as champion here in season number 2?
I sure hope so, man. I mean, it's only race 1. I don't want to talk too much about the points, but yeah, I don't know. I'll have good speed at each track, so just gotta let it come to me. We got a good field this season. Got about 30 trucks. Last season we had about 20, so definitely seeing the series grow. It was a lot of fun tonight. The thing I love about this series so much is like what happened to me in the first race. I messed up, and I was able to review my mistakes and go at it again, get a second chance, and definitely adapted and learned from that. So happy to be third.
Yeah, I mean, Blake, you even touched on it. The fact that there are new drivers here, they actually swept both races. How does that make you change your mentality, knowing that these new guys, they do have the pace to be up front and winning?
I mean, I like it honestly. I like competition, and I hope that we can have some good battles this season for the lead and up towards the front. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm all for new guys coming in, and hopefully I can be better some other nights, so I can beat them. But as long as we can have a good battle and there's some good competition, it'll be all fun.
Well, Blake, a great finish for yourself, third place for race number 2, and hopefully you can continue on with that. Before we let you go, though, the floor is yours for any shout outs.
Yeah, I just gotta thank Maconi Setup Shop for standing by me. Big Kitty and ID Racing.
It's going to be Blake Barney getting a third place finish here in heat number 2. Congratulations on that run, and hopefully we'll be talking to you further on in the season.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, guys.
And we got Johnny going to be up in the booth. Like you kind of coined him the bridesmaid of the night, finishing second in both races. Johnny, it's Sam up in the booth with Mike. You got us?
Hello.
Well, Mike kind of coined it as the bridesmaid. You finished second in both races. What else could you have done to possibly win either of those races?
Well, the first race I was fortunate to really get back up there, but the second race I don't know, I thought I was doing the right thing, protecting the top and the slide job. I think it was coming to 2 to go or something like that. The slide job that he cleared coming out of turn 2 put me in a position that I thought I was going to at least be able to battle, but I guess I must have burned my right front off a little bit more than I expected, or I'm not even sure what happened, but I just kind of lost. I just kind of lost it. I didn't have the line, and it just kind of fell apart right at the end, and it was extremely disappointing to see it go away going into turn 3. He left me the outside, and I thought, oh, here's my chance, and I went into the corner, and it just didn't have any more. So it's a pair of good results, but it kind of burns, kind of stings a little bit.
Yeah, Johnny. Again, I thought once he gave up the outside, I thought you were maybe going to get that run as well, but just not able to get it done here tonight. But overall, showing that same speed that you showed at a lot of the mile and a half and 2 mile tracks that you did last season, and I guess again it's something to hang your hat on. I know it's never fun to finish in second position, but I guess does it give you a confidence booster that maybe even next week at Texas? I believe you also showed quite a bit of speed last season when the OSCA Truck Series went there. Do you have some confidence that you'll be running back up front, maybe turning that second place into a first place next week?
Yeah, I mean, last season when we came to Texas, I wasn't really racing for anything. I was just kind of going for the win, but I was focused on just trying to get a good result and try to finish these races at Texas last season. I had gone through a spell where it just seemed like every single race I'd show up and get crashed in some stupid way, and it was more frustrating than it was productive, I guess. But I think Texas seemed to have been a good pair of races for me last season. I feel like I learned a lot and learned a lot about what I can and can't do there. Texas isn't typically one of my favorite tracks. I don't, in the new Texas in particular, I don't typically run well. But I feel like I learned quite a bit in the one of the last races, whichever one it was. I don't know, towards the end of the season last season. I feel like I learned a lot, and hopefully I'll be able to apply that. But the confidence boost coming out of here, I mean, I qualified 14th, and I didn't think I was going to have much pace. I didn't have a whole bunch of practice, and beforehand, and I was kind of surprised the way the race 1 went to be able to get through the field that quickly. So yeah, it's a little bit of a boost of confidence, but I guess we won't really know until we get there.
Well, it's exciting to see if and how you're going to be able to race next week, Johnny. But before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout outs.
Yeah, I want to thank. First of all, I want to thank you guys for broadcasting it. I want to thank the OSCA admins and Vic for everything they do. David Westergreen, Robert Hill, DJ Dennis Weeks, Adam TP, a couple of guys I race with. They in the same channel with. They're usually a cooling force when I'm maybe losing my mind a little bit in different situations. So keep me calm and good pals to be around. So then I want to thank my Outlaw Racing team. It's a good start. We had pretty good runs across the board. So I think we in the main race we finished second, fifth, and sixth. So pretty good showing to start off the season.
Well, Johnny, a great way to start out the season. I think with the finishes that you had, you could be our points leader with how well you did. But we'll wait for those official results to come in. But good luck next week at Texas.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
And then we got Keenan going to be up in the booth, able to come back and get a win. He finished 5th in the first race, first today. What a way to start out. First race of the season. Keenan, it's Mike and Sam up in the booth. You got us?
Yeah, how are you guys doing tonight?
Doing pretty good. You put on quite a show, making some of those quick and late slide job moves. How was it trying to slice and dice in those final couple of laps?
Eventful is one word I'd use to describe it. I really I didn't think that I would stand too much of a chance up there. I hadn't done much of this racetrack at night, but I was gifted a pretty good situation there when a couple of the fastest trucks took themselves out in the first couple laps, and I kept the wheels on the thing, made the best of it, and timed my move as best as I could, and just put it right where it needed to be.
Yeah, Kian, first off, attaboy for being one of the guys, finishing 4th and then 1st in both those heats, able to keep your truck clean in both races. It was hard to do. We've seen a lot of guys have mixed fortunes for tonight, but we just talked to Johnny too that he thought he was in position. He did all the right things to get that victory, and he just came up short. So I guess, what is your perspective? What did you do to maybe set him up and to able to get that victory late in the heat there?
I think I had a bit more of a clue what was going on coming off turn 4. I had a little bit more right front tire on the car, and I noticed the first time I got alongside of him in turn 4, I thought he was going to hit the wall, so I lifted. 4 laps later, I remounted, I tried again, I got under him, and I had enough tire to just slide up in front of him going into turn 1. And I knew at that point, as long as I could hold the top and keep him behind me, I'd be fine. But the biggest thing for me tonight was making sure I could leave the corner low on turn 4 and get as big of a straight run down the front straightaway as I possibly could. And that's what I did. And it got me around him and it won me the race. So.
Yeah, that it certainly did. You actually now have created a streak of the newcomers winning now, with Matthew winning the first race, you winning this race, first round of this truck series in season 2. The new guys have swept it here at Auto Club. Kean, before we let you go, though, the floor is yours for any shout outs.
Well, I'd like to thank Dallas and Vic for getting me involved here. Convinced me to put my truck out here and race with them tonight. Me and Seth Rawls. Seth Rawls painted my truck. Actually, he painted a few of the trucks in the field tonight. Really sharp-looking machines. Me, him, and Matthew Bayek were at it for a few hours the other day, getting the track down, learning the racetrack. I was put through quite a bit of grief in the first heat. I bounced off 3 or 4 different race cars, and they were all in there keeping my head cool for me, as hard as that is to do sometimes. And I'd like to thank them for working with me on the practice this week, and Seth for painting the car, and all you guys for putting this show on for us tonight. It's been a pleasure.
That's going to be Kean winning our second race of the night. Congratulations and good luck next week at Texas.
Thank you, fellas.
Well, Mike, first round of 13 comes to a close, and it was a show for us for sure. First race, multiple green-white checkers. We got to go green inside of our 30 laps. For the second race, what are some of your final thoughts?
Oh, I just like seeing, as we talked about all night, some of these new guys that came in fresh to the series. They were able to pick up wins, have some strong showings here tonight. But also some of the guys that came back from last year, Barney and Eckert, that were able to get into the top 3. Some of these guys that were up front as well. So it was a good mix of veterans of the OSCA Truck Series and newcomers as well. Very, very fun to see, and even seeing some crazy action at times and some long green flag runs. I think we just seen a mix of everything here tonight, and it was just awesome to be a pleasure to be a part of. But very curious to see what Texas also brings next week, because I think if we pulled all the drivers you know, they always say, well, I don't know if I'm going to be good at Texas. I don't like the new Texas, but everyone says that. So you're almost on a even playing ground, and it should be fun to watch as well. So be sure to check that out as well next week for the OSCA Truck Series.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be a fun one. Texas, then Daytona, then Pocono, and then in round 5, it's going to be at the USA. So a lot of interesting, very diverse tracks that we're going to be starting this season off with. But Mike, big thanks for being up in the booth with us, and kind of a historic day for us on the channel at the Bliss Racing Network. First official league race on this channel, but thank you again for being up in the booth.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure to kind of kick off this network for you guys. It's been fun and pleasure to work with you, and hopefully we can do this again in the future pretty soon.
Hopefully. Well, thank you everyone for coming in and tuning in for the 2 races here tonight. It was certainly a blast, and can't wait for more racing action in the OSCA Truck Series. Like we said, Texas next week, but for us tonight, have a good